Shadow Business and Trade Secretary Andrew Griffith is with us this morning, former member of this parish, of course. It's good to see you. Thanks so much indeed for joining us on the programme this morning. Donald Trump saying that Keir Starmer's doing a very good job. What do you think?
Well, I don't agree. Businesses in this country are literally bleeding out on our high streets. Every day we're hearing about them having to make job losses, some closing down, and no one should think that that's acceptable or doing a good job. Now, we're going to hear a lot about growth this week. That's great. We need better infrastructure. We want to build more homes in this country. But that can't be a substitute for action right now on the sort of things that businesses are complaining about. So the national insurance rise, 25 billion, all coming at them at once. And the trade union-inspired employment bill, 150 pages of red tape that businesses are just recoiling from. So we need action, not words, and we need action on some of the things that Labour have done to crash the economy.
It's their fault that the economy's crashing, is it?
Well, I think so. I mean, look, these things are always, got different. They've always got. Okay, there's always different things going on. But in all honesty, Labour inherited an economy that was growing, where inflation was falling and interest rates were falling, and confidence was rising. And over the last few months, each and every month, independent commentators say all of the metrics of how well our economy is doing, and the sort of top bosses that are trooping in to meet the Prime Minister today, are saying, look, we just can't cope with all of these additional burdens coming at us, both the tax burden and the red tape, against that difficult environment. So I just think Labour need to take some actions if they're serious about growth. And we've heard the Chancellor, perhaps she's worried about her job, but we heard the Chancellor last week talking about growth. We've got to stop the brain drain by reversing the attack on international investors, stop the attack on high streets with all of these extra costs on employment, and stop the red tape with things like the 150-page employment bill.
A lot of that we knew was coming down the pike if they did win. I know you're going to say national insurance we didn't, but a lot of the other stuff we did, and yet still they were voted in to run this country for the next 5 years.
They were, and they are the government of this country, and as a patriot, I wish them well. They're proceeding with some of the city and pension reforms that Jeremy Hunt and I came up with, and that's good. So they're announcing today things that will help people get better pensions, and British pension funds invest more in our economy. So when they do things right, we should say that they're doing the right thing. But there are lots of things, Kay, and you're hearing it day by day, particularly on our high streets, particularly for people who would worry about their jobs. There's no economic confidence if people don't have job security. And I would just say, look, shelve the red tape that you're trying to impose on employers. They're trying to reduce our flexible economy, saying things like seasonal workers. You can't have seasonal workers, you've got to have fixed contracts all year round. Those aren't good for the economy, and that's some of the impacts we're seeing.
How do you feel about a third runway at Heathrow?
Look, I'm all in. I think that Britain is a global trading nation. You travel around the world, you see the global hubs that other cities are building. It's really important that we have connectivity both to the US, our biggest single trading partner, but to other emerging economies. So absolutely, definitely a third runway for Heathrow. And if the government is serious, because they opposed a lot of things that we were trying to do, like reform judicial review, this idea that politicians make decisions because they're democratically elected, and then for years and years at multiple levels in the court, people try and support those decisions. That's wrong. And so if they're serious about reforming judicial review, legal activism, that is a good thing.
How do you feel about the Chancellor considering joining a tariff-free trading scheme with the EU?
Well, I don't have religion about that, but I do worry about them trying to take us back into the European Union by stealth. The biggest opportunity we've got right now on trade, it's almost just a phone call and a plane ride away, is getting on the phone to President Trump and doing a US trade deal. We left, when Biden came into office, there was a trade deal that was almost fully baked. There's no reason why that couldn't very quickly be resuscitated and signed. The US is by far the biggest trading partner of the United Kingdom. And if Donald Trump thinks that the Keir Starmer is someone he can do business with, then fantastic. Let's get on and do that deal rather than try and look backwards into a low-growth part of the world.
So you don't necessarily think that this is trying to rejoin the EU by stealth?
No, look, we'll look at it on its merits, in fairness, but what we shouldn't be doing is deflecting attention from that really substantial opportunity of that trade deal with the US. Remember, they share our values, they're our closest trading partner and a really important security partner. You're talking about DeepSeek this morning on AI. Well, together, the UK and the US, if we work together, could be AI superpowers in harmony. and we've both got those important values. I won't be using DeepSeek because of the concerns about some of the values and what might happen to that data.
OK. How do you feel about what President Trump's been saying about Gaza? And in particular, suggesting that Palestinians, forgive me, should either go to Egypt or Jordan?
Look, I don't agree with those comments. I think it's a difficult and sensitive situation. We saw only yesterday, Holocaust Day. Nobody should be using intemperate language about people in a very, very difficult situation. The ceasefire is very welcome, and everyone's efforts should be to make that ceasefire permanent so that ordinary folk on both sides can get on with their lives, bring up their children, grow their economies and have a better standard of living.
And I thought, before I let you go, about the Southport riots, or the UK-wide riots. We've heard from the Children's Commissioner, who has suggested that kids under 18 should have any criminal record that they have as a result of those riots wiped clean.
Well, forgive me, I haven't read that report in detail, Kay. It's obviously a concern for anybody to be swept up in criminal behaviour, which is what rioting is. There's always a spectrum. You will know if you go out and film on the streets that people will gather round to have a look, see what's going on, even record it on their mobile phones. So I'm sure there's a spectrum of behaviour in this case, but it's an important issue, and I'll read the report today.
She's basically suggesting that a lot of these kids have a huge dislike for the police, and they have a lack of opportunity within their communities. And if they have this criminal record as well, they will be left behind.
Yeah, look, people should be given a second chance in life. We have that as part of rehabilitation. You have to look at the individual case specifics. There is an issue about trust in the police, and you're also seeing a report today, or reports of a leak, about a Home Office cell, if you like, that keeps coming up with this idea of non-crime hate incidents. Now, most people will say the thing they want from the police is to be able to walk on the streets without their mobile phone being snatched. If they are burgled, the police tend and do their very best with their limited resources and difficult job to solve that burglary. And it is a real concern that time and time again, despite Conservative Home Secretaries saying we should not be wasting police time with non-crime hate incidents, that somewhere in the Home Office, officials keep coming up with this idea. It should be shelved, and the Home Secretary should come to Parliament today, publish that report in full, and set at rest people's concerns about a continuation of non-crime hate incidents.
OK, it's good to see you, as always. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.